Today, we're jumping into the basics of Judaism. This is a faith whose story is, it's woven right into the fabric of Western civilization. It's one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, and its ideas about justice, community, and our relationship with the divine have really profoundly shaped the world we live in.
And when we say it has a deep history, we mean it. We're talking about a story that goes back more than 3,000 years. To put that into perspective for you, that's a timeline that starts way before ancient Rome or the Greek philosophers. It's just incredible. So let's trace this journey right from the very start.
So where does this whole story kick off? Well, we have to go back thousands of years to the ancient Middle East, specifically to the land that is now modern-day Israel. This is the spot, the geographical cradle where the foundational ideas of Judaism first really started to take root.
At the very heart of Jewish tradition is a figure named Abraham. He's considered the first person to form this unique relationship with a single, universal God. Now, in a world that was full of local gods and idols, this idea of one God for all of humanity was absolutely revolutionary.
This relationship wasn't just some casual understanding, though. It was made official through something called a covenant. The best way to think of it is as a sacred contract, a really deep and binding agreement that becomes the very foundation of the Jewish faith. And what's so crucial here is that this covenant wasn't a one-way street. Not at all. It was a mutual promise. God pledged to protect Abraham and his descendants, who would of course become the Jewish people, and in return, they promised to live by God's laws. This two-way relationship is just fundamental to Jewish identity. The story of this covenant continues with another absolutely central figure, Moses. He's famous for leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt in the event we know as the Exodus. This wasn't just a story about liberation, it was a powerful confirmation of God's promise to protect his people.
Okay, so this whole history of covenants and liberation led to a pretty unique set of beliefs. So, what are the core principles sitting right at the heart of the Jewish faith?
The absolute central idea is this. 1. Judaism is a monotheistic religion. That means its followers believe in one single, all-powerful, indivisible God. And this isn't just one belief among many, it's the source from which pretty much everything else flows.
But this belief in one God isn't just some abstract theological idea. It's really a call to action. The tradition teaches that because God is just and caring, we as humans have a responsibility to reflect those qualities. And what does that mean? It means living ethically, treating others fairly, and actively working to build a more just society for everyone.
And this brings us to one of the most crucial points. While belief is definitely important, Judaism places a huge emphasis on action. It's not just about what you think, it's about what you do. Living out your faith through ethical behavior and righteous deeds, that's seen as the highest expression of your relationship with God.
So if action is so important, where do Jews look for guidance on what to do? The answer lies in the Torah, which is the central sacred text of Judaism. But the Torah is so much more than a simple rulebook. Think of it more like a rich tapestry that weaves together all these different things. The laws that guide Jewish life, the foundational stories of the Jewish people, and the moral teachings that offer a compass for how to live an ethical life.
The physical Torah itself is treated with enormous respect, which really reflects its sacred status. It's not mass-produced in a factory. It's traditionally handwritten by a highly trained scribe on a parchment scroll. During services, this scroll becomes the absolute centerpiece of worship in a synagogue, which is the Jewish house of prayer.
So, how do these ancient beliefs and sacred texts come alive in the world today? Well, they're expressed through a whole bunch of traditions and holidays that really shape the rhythm of Jewish life, both from week to week and throughout the entire year.
Two central pillars of Jewish practice are prayer, which helps foster a personal connection with God, and observing Shabbat. From sunset on Friday to sunset on Saturday, Shabbat is a weekly day of rest. It's a time to unplug from work and just focus on family, community, and spiritual rejuvenation.
The Jewish year is also structured around major holidays, and each one commemorates a key event or theme. You've got Passover, celebrating the story of freedom from slavery in Egypt. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, is a time for deep reflection. Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, is all about forgiveness. And Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, celebrates miracles and the fight for religious freedom.
So we've traced the origins, the beliefs, and the practices of Judaism. But why does a faith with a 3,000-year-old story still matter so much today? Well, the answer is in its lasting global influence.
One of the most significant parts of Judaism's legacy is its foundational role in world religion. As one of the earliest monotheistic faiths, it really laid the theological groundwork for both Christianity and Islam. That's actually why these three faiths are often called the Abrahamic religions. They all trace their spiritual lineage right back to Abraham.
But beyond its direct influence on other religions, the core values of Judaism have had a deep impact on our modern world. Its constant focus on justice, its emphasis on both personal and collective responsibility, and the high value it places on a strong community, these are all ideas that have become cornerstones of societies all over the globe.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look at our world today, our legal systems, our ethical debates, our social structures, where do you see the echoes of these ancient ideas of justice and responsibility? It's a pretty powerful thought, connecting this 3,000-year-old story directly to our lives right here, right now.